This is the 2015 Chevrolet Equinox, and we'll do a quick look around because the wind is blowing and I'm trying not to give you guys wind noise here. We don't have the mirror signals, which is a huge downside to me. The back end looks kind of like an Explorer, smaller Explorer. It does feature remote start. We're not going to do it though. And I'll get in out of the wind. Hopefully that didn't completely ruin the video. Tried to do it as least as I could. It is a 4-cylinder, but the gas mileage in this car is cranked up. Insane. The gas mileage is great. I like the gas mileage. In fact, I can look right here in this menu and tell you that's how far I've driven it. That's how much I've got left on the gas. Fuel economy, 23.6. That's with my driving. You guys know how to drive. I think the best was 27.8. I was getting 30 last night on the interstate, so that doesn't seem quite accurate. Then you've got your oil life, which looks like it's about time. US, tire pressure. Wow, that menu really has nothing. It has the same MyLink system as you might expect from many Chevrolet vehicles nowadays, and it does have the rear view camera. However, it does not include a rear sensing system, so no beep when you're about to hit anything, so you got to keep your own eyes out. This mirror is not auto dimming, which was disappointing, but whatever. You win some, you lose some, like I say. So, it does have manual air controls. Another big, not a huge for me. I don't like that, but whatever. I think one of the biggest things about this vehicle is that it's an SUV, so that it gives me plenty of room. It is a 4-cylinder, so that it saves a lot of gas. And it is all-wheel drive, which is kind of a big deal because supposedly we're supposed to see some ice and snow in a couple of days. And that's going to be great because I didn't even ask for an all-wheel drive vehicle. It just happened to be what they had, so they handed it to me, and here we go. So it's nothing special by any means. This is the budget SUV that you buy when you want an SUV, but you don't want to pay for an SUV. The price is, you know what? I don't know what the price is. I didn't look, but but what I can tell you is that it's a pretty decent car. So I haven't actually looked at the price on the car, so I don't really know what it goes for. But I know that it is more of a budget car. It's a small SUV. It's sort of a, I think it would compare to the Ford Escape, or I can't think of another model that I would compare it to, but I think it would compare to the Ford Escape. It's Chevrolet's version. And it's not a bad car. I mean, because usually when you get into those types of cars, you get into budget cars. You get into, you know, trying to save money and taking shortcuts where they're not needed. And so this car's got a lot of features on it that I really didn't expect, namely right here with the MyLink. And you know, you lose out on your manual air, and you know, a couple of things that I didn't like the window auto down, but then auto up, no. So you have to actually hold the button for the window to go back up, and that's, all of them are auto down, but not auto up. So that's a thing. But you know, you win some, you lose some. Like I say, there are some things in this car that, you know, more than I would have expected. The seats are pretty comfortable. They are cloth, but they're pretty comfortable for what you get. And they feel of a higher quality than just cloth seats. They feel really nice. So, you know, there's some things good about it, but then there's some things not so good about it. Like, you know, your auto-dimming mirror that it doesn't have, and your non-auto... It really just, I don't understand why they make smaller SUVs that aren't as nice. Then they make their large SUVs that are just fully loaded with everything, leather and everything. Why don't they make a higher end version of this car? I'm sure they do at the top of the line, but this is the 1LT. It's near the top of the line. It's not the lowest end model by any means. So it could do a lot better. But to each his own. This is still a very nice car, and I have no complaints about it. It has an eco mode, which you can enable. I haven't noticed any difference in gas mileage while driving in this, but I did notice that the vehicle acts differently while in eco mode. Namely the gears and how it changes. It doesn't, I don't know, it's not as aggressive, which aggressive is something I like. So, you know, I probably wouldn't like this vehicle as much if it weren't all-wheel drive. That's kind of a huge plus for me at this point, because all-wheel drive vehicles at this particular time of the year are going for really high. And for me to have been put in one unintentionally is a big deal. Oh, the door is locked. Let's get the unlock button. It is raining. This car offers pretty decent backroom space. This seat is set to my comfortable setting, where I'm halfway laying back, and as you can see, I can pretty much fit here. I'm still hitting the seat, but I'm not cramped. I can spread out and feel just fine. Plenty of room for 2 people. I wouldn't fit 3 back here though, which again is exactly like the Ford Escape. And then you have your all-wheel drive badge. This says LT. Like I said, it is the 1LT. They have a 1LT and a 2LT. And your back room is just a lot. A lot to offer back here. Here comes a burst of wind. Be prepared. Can you hear it in the background? Jeez. I think I have to say that I am not a fan of this design. This is the ugliest car I've ever seen. To cap the Chevrolet Equinox, it's a nice little budget car, but I don't understand why you would buy it. I don't understand why you would cheap out on something nicer and get this particular model. That's just me. Maybe I'm different. I know a lot of people drive some really crappy cars because it's all they need. It does what they need to do. And that's cool, but I just don't get it. I do not like to drive a car that I do not like. And this car doesn't have a whole lot to offer. It's just a car. It just gets you from point A to point B. There's not a whole lot to offer on this car. It doesn't have fog lights, which is a huge downside for me. It doesn't have the mirror signals, which is a huge downside for me. What it did have that made me happy was the backup camera, but you lose the backup sensing system. For a 1LT model, which I understand there is a higher model above this one, but for a slightly higher model of all of the available options, this one doesn't really offer much, and that's disappointing. I like the car. It's a decent car. It's nice to have all-wheel drive. It's nice to have the good gas mileage while still having all-wheel drive. It's nice to have a bigger car than just a car. But there are better out there, and it's best to shop around and do your research, because this car, although is great, is not that great. I like it. It's a decent driver. It's really comfortable. It feels great. But at the same time, there are better out there, and at the current price point. I think this one goes for around $32,000. I don't remember the exact price. I did look it up, but I don't remember the exact price. I think it was around $32,000. And for $32,000, there's a whole lot more for your money elsewhere. Not particularly bashing Chevy. There are nice Chevys. I just wouldn't waste my money on this car, because this car is a pretty basic... The keys went in the floor. It's a pretty basic car with not a whole lot to offer. But it is a car that gets you from point A to point B. So, I mean, if you're looking for a car like that, well, you'd probably spend a lot less. That's what I would say. So, yeah. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this review of the Chevrolet Captiva. I have mustard on my pants. You've just seen that. And I'm going to go change my pants now. And I'll see you guys later. It has stopped. The snow, it has stopped. Yep, it's solid. And I cleaned this car off 3 times already. It has been 2.5 weeks since I made the review of the Chevrolet Equinox, and I just rewatched it to make sure that I hadn't changed my mind. I stand by everything I said in the video. It's a nice car, but it could be better. But I did want to add one little thing here at the end. I did get a chance to test out the all-wheel drive because we did get snow and ice. We got ice, and then it melted, and then we got snow. I was really impressed with how the car did in the ice. I didn't expect it to do well at all, which really impressed me. I didn't expect that. It had pretty good grip. It never really lost traction. It stayed on the road. It did what it was supposed to do. Driving it like you're supposed to drive it, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. Now, when I tried to mess with it and play around, it didn't like that idea too much, and traction control pretty much stopped me from revving too high. After turning traction control off, you might expect it didn't really stop anything, and you could go anywhere, and there wasn't much grip, which is to be expected without traction control. When the snow came around, I didn't have to disable traction control to mess around in the snow because it would let me, and I don't know why. It would let the engine rev really high, and I just didn't feel like it had as good of a grip in the snow as it did the ice, which made no sense because ice is usually a lot worse to drive in. But like I said, if you drive it like you're supposed to and you're not messing around and you're not trying to spin out and do things, then it works just fine. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. Traction control holds it where it needs to be. Anti-lock brakes work exactly the way they're supposed to do. I mean, you know, this is stuff that's been out for 20 years now. I mean, you would expect this stuff to work, traction control and anti-lock brakes. But combined with the all-wheel drive, it did a pretty decent job. So I would say it's a good all-wheel drive vehicle if that's really what you're looking for. But again, like I said, I wouldn't waste my time with this car. I would go ahead and get the next level up. Like, for example, in Ford's lineup, there's the Escape, which this one compares to. Then there's the Explorer. The Explorer's a little bigger, but it's a lot nicer. And, I mean, I know there's above the Explorer, there's like the Expedition. And I understand we're talking about Chevrolet, not Ford, but I don't really know Chevrolet's lineup. I know they have the Captiva, which is a piece of crap. They have the Equinox, which is a little better. And they have the Suburban, which is top of the line awesomeness. I don't know if there's one in between there. I really don't know their lineup. But why wouldn't you just go with the complete awesomeness? I know you don't need a big V8, Suburban. Okay, well then go get the Explorer. The Explorer comes in a V6 and just ditch Chevy and go forward, and yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to add a little bit at the end here about how it did in the snow and ice, which did pretty well. A lot better than the Ram did, which I didn't really make a four-wheel drive section on the Ram review. I really should have. It did not impress me, the Ram. But this one, it did pretty well for a car. I mean, you know, of an SUV, I never expected it to do better than a truck in the snow. So, all right, well, I'll see you guys later.